Hey, my freight broker buddies, it's time for another one of these. And it's been a while. Over a week, right at. There's a reason we haven't posted a video in the last week or so. 3 words. No air conditioning. They finally got the air conditioning put in yesterday. It's been a fiasco. Air conditioning never goes out. Like at 7 o'clock in the morning, you call the AC guy at 8. He comes out at 10, and they've got a new unit installed by 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. No. Labor Day weekend, Friday night, 7 o'clock, AC goes out. It's been miserable. Not able to post videos, just been so hot. Heat index, we're in Arkansas, just sunshine, and usually by September, Labor Day weekend, yeah, it's pretty summerish, but after that, usually it takes a drastic drop pretty quick, but not this year, no, and that's because my AC was out. So my AC guy, he orders a new unit on Tuesday. It gets here Wednesday. Remember, Monday's a holiday, everything's closed, so that's an extra day. But he ordered it Tuesday, delivered on Wednesday, and it was damaged. I'd like to know who damaged that unit. It was a freight company. It was trucked here. So, sent that one back, had to order a new one. It got here yesterday. They were out here bright and early yesterday morning with it and was able to put it in, and that fiasco was over. Almost $3,000 later, but it's over. Okay. This is an essential training video. You want to pay special attention. Today, we are talking about a response where the shipper says, send me a rate sheet. Okay, a rate sheet. What that amounts to, shippers wanting to know your average rate per mile to go from a specific city and state to a specific state or section of a state. When I say section of a state, think North Florida, South Florida. Rates in North Florida are going to be a lot different than rates for loads going to South Florida. And the reason that is simply because South Florida, the trucks are going to demand a higher rate because they know that they're not going to get much of a rate, if anything at all, to get out of South Florida. Now, the shippers down there know this. It's a supply and demand issue. Okay, are there more trucks than loads or more loads than trucks? South Florida, always more trucks than loads. Shippers know it, and they pay bottom dollar, and they're not scared to tell the truck, hey, you take it for what we're paying, or you go 500 miles back to Georgia on your dime. Don't matter to us. So trucks are going to have to charge a little bit more to get down there. Now, how do we calculate a rate per mile? In the old days, what we used to have to do, us old timers, if we needed to get an idea of what kind of a rate we should be charging, we would look at the load boards and find a similar load posted by another broker, call that broker as if we were a trucking company interested in that load, and they would pretty much tell us the load and the rate they were paying. So that way we got a rate and we could calculate how much we needed to charge a customer. Now, today, the load boards have tools available that will calculate the rate for you. Two types of tools available to you. One is a spot rate tool, the one I recommend anyway. Spot rate tool will provide you a rate that a broker is paying a truck. Pretty similar to what we did in the old days. You know, when we call a broker acting like we were a trucking company so we could get the rates, we know how much to charge our customer to move a load. But that's a spot rate tool, what a broker is paying a truck to move a load. Now, if you get an idea what the broker's paying, then you would add money to that rate to get it up to a shipper rate, because obviously the broker is paying less to the truck than what they are getting from the shipper. Okay, I always recommend, if you're calculating rates, use a spot rate tool because it will fluctuate with the market. There is a second tool available. It's known as a contract rate tool. Contract rate tools are available on some load boards, and there are even contract rate tools, standalone versions that you can pay a monthly fee and have access to it. Don't recommend those. Okay, here's why. A contract rate tool is providing you a rate, yes, that a shipper is paying a truck, but the key word here, it's contracted. Okay, they're gathering this data from contracts between trucking companies and their customers. Okay, generally a trucking company's contract with their customer is going to be for a period of 12 months. So if during that time, that 12-month period, the rate fluctuates, either goes up or goes way down, contract rate tool is going to be steady. Okay, whereas a spot rate tool will fluctuate with the market. So that's my preference, using a spot rate tool. Now, what do you mark up on a spot rate tool? Because it's telling you the rate that a broker's paying a truck on average. What do you mark it up? Well, in my experience, a broker does not want to make less than 10% on a load. With the rate sheet, when the shipper you're making a sales call to a shipper, and they say, send me a rate sheet, that's all they're asking for. An average rate per mile to go from a specific city and state origin to a state or section of a state. Just average rate per mile. You can't actually calculate a total rate for them, or a quote or a bid, because they didn't give you a specific city and state for a destination, so you can only do an average rate per mile. Now, why do shippers do this? Why do they want that? Generally, they ask you for a rate sheet to compare their rates to what you're asking. A lot of them, they know that, okay, if they ask for a rate sheet, you're going to calculate the rates according to today's market, send it to them, and they're going to be able to see if they're still in the ballpark of what the market's calling for. Generally speaking, though, if you send a rate sheet to a customer, you make a follow-up call. I usually wait about 30-45 minutes, make a follow-up call, and I'll just say, hey, Mr. Prospect, this is Mike. Listen, I sent my rate sheet down to you, just checking to make sure you got that. Once they confirm they've got that, understand I'm sending the shipper packet, all my documentation that I know the shipper needs to be able to use me as a broker. I'm sending that with the rate sheet. So when they confirm they've received my rate sheet, I also know they've got all the legal documentation they need to be able to start using me as one of their brokers today. Okay, pretty simple. Now, with that said, never ask what they think about the rate. I can tell you right now, a shipper's always going to say your rates are too high. A trucking company is going to always say your rates are too low. That's just the nature of the beast. So you know the answer to those questions, don't ask. Okay. Now, when the shipper confirms they've received your rate sheet and you know that you sent your package with it, your shipper packet, and you ask for a load, well, you're talking to the person in shipping. They know what loads they have available. Okay, they may be looking at something right now, and more times than not, they've come back and said, well, see what you can do with me with this load going to Chicago or Los Angeles or something like that. And I'm immediately starting to work with that shipper. Okay, so it's not a big deal. It gives you an in, and once you have that in, you work on building that relationship.